Hey, what's up, guys? It's Uchiha here, back with the next part of What If Naruto was reunited with his family. Now, before continuing this, I just wanted to thank you in general that, yeah, we just crossed the 7,000 subscriber mark. And I just feel blessed. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for making this happen. It may be a little number, but it means a lot to me. Really, thank you very much. Now, before continuing this, if you haven't, then please do leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And without further ado, let's continue with our story. This time, we left off when Kakashi told the Team 7 about their flaws and their potentials. After telling them that, he motivated them. Now then, let's get started with our training, shall we? Link break. Don't space out, Sasuke. Chastised the copy in as he landed a flawless leg sweep against the distracted Uchiha. Sasuke hit the dirt, the back of his head smacking against it first. Before he could scramble to his feet, he found a kunai to his throat, with his teacher kneeling over him in a nonchalant manner that pissed him off more than anything right now. "You've lost," said Kakashi as he stood. "This sparring session is over. Time to move on to the next step in today's training. Sakura, go find Kurenai for your daily genjutsu training. Sasuke, come with me. We'll be working on your Sharingan a bit more today." Kakashi stood and followed his orders as they went their separate ways. A lone girl hid behind a tree watching them. She didn't move when they left, despite the fact she might be late for her own training. If she didn't get going, she was too concerned with one thing. She was worried about Naruto. Link break. Naruto cursed as another chain ripped through his last orange jumpsuit. Right now, he and his mother were on the Namikaze Uzumaki clan's personal training grounds. Kushina was currently evaluating him on the use of the Uzumaki clan's adamantium sealing chains. It was his clan's Kekkei, and when he returned to his team, he was so rubbing it on Sasuke's smug face. Damn it though, he was the only one with cool bloodline stuff that couldn't be copied. "I'll show him, Tebayo." A month had passed since he had been reunited with his parents, and to say that they'd be training him into the dirt, even the roots below it, was an understatement. As he repelled one of his mother's chain with his own, he thought back to the first day he arrived here and the days that followed. Link break. Naruto and his parents had just left the Hokage's office, and before the boy could even think to ask them which way they'd be going, his father put his hand on his and his mother's shoulder. Naruto had a sickening suspicions. He knew when Kakashi got their idea from. Before the young boy could protest, the three of them had vanished in a flash of yellow. Appearing in a rather spacious living room, Naruto waited for his stomach to do flips like it had with Kakashi's Senshin, but the sensation never came. In fact, he found that he rather enjoyed the Harshin. He couldn't explain it, but it just felt right. "Welcome home, Naruto," exclaimed Kushina giddily as she turned on the lights. Naruto looked around, noting how the living room was far larger than his. There were 3 couches and 2 coffee tables. A love seat was on the right end of the room, with a leather chair on the left near a fireplace. All the chairs were facing a single wall, which is where the TV was. His parents quickly gave him a tour of the Namikaze Uzumaki clan grounds, which were humongous, before they took him back to the living room and proceeded to cut the chase and tell him what Sorabi had done concerning his lack of knowledge of them and why he hid it. The conversation had been a hard one. Kushina and Minato struggled to keep their cool as they related the story to Naruto. Their rage had subsided while they enjoyed time with their son, but now that they had to think about it again, they were seething. Naruto himself merely listened. When his parents finished, they waited for his response. Naruto wasn't the type to hold grudges. Hell, when he cared for someone, he wasn't even the type to truly get angry at them, and he always been an understanding boy. Anyone who knew the boy well wouldn't think his words or next words to be surprising at all. "I understand. Diddy did what he could, and that's all I can ask for. I'll prank him, and that'll be that. We'll be even," grinned Naruto, as he already begun thinking about what prank to pull on his grandfather figure. Minato and Kushina looked at the boy in mild surprise, not expecting him to take the news so well. He'd taken it better than they had, and they had realized how amazingly special their son was now. Already feeling proud of him, They talked for the rest of the night, determined to learn all they could. Naruto told his parents about his team, his few friends, and his other classmates. When he talked about Sasuke, they both frowned. They knew the boy's position, but they didn't mean he had to act the way he did. If nothing else, they needed to set him right. They continued to listen more until he got to Sakura, expressing his feelings for the pink cat. Unfortunately for Sakura, he also told them for her reactions and her attitude with Sasuke. This resulted in his mother ranting about girls, the type of woman she wanted her son to be with, and how Sakura was not under any circumstances worth pursuing at this time. When Naruto asked if it would be alright after she matured a little, his mother fixed him with his first ever motherly glare of submission or die, and told him that he was better off with someone else. Naruto simply nodded frantically, frightened far more than even when Zabuza wanted to kill him and his team, and decided to give his mother's words some thought. After working some of the fears out of his system, Naruto went on to walk and talk about two peoples he felt he called his friends, Shikamaru and Choji, telling his parents of how he used to watch clouds with Shikamaru and share snacks with Choji sometimes brought a smile to Minato's and Kushina's face. They were happy to hear that their son wasn't as alone as they had thought. My other classmates are okay, I guess, stated Naruto. As he went into further details, he told his parents about Kiba and Ino. Once he heard how Kiba teased Naruto for things like his bad grades while not realizing and having amazing grades himself, they determined he was just looking for a way to make sure he wasn't teased. That didn't mean he needed to make Naruto the scapegoat here. As for Ino, they found her to be just as disgraceful to Konoichi as Sakura. Her fangirl mentality had surely crippled her abilities as a shinobi, and they only hoped she snapped out of it before she got herself or her teammates killed. Briefly, they wondered what would happen if she had to fight Sasuke during the exams. They didn't think her drive to win would outweigh her crush on the boy, and even if it did, Sasuke hadn't slacked off based on his status as the Rookie of the Year. The boy would likely pick her apart. Moving on to Shino, Naruto told his folks that the boy was very quiet but didn't seem to dislike him. In turn, his parents told their son that that's just how the Aburame family was. They also told Naruto to try and befriend the boy because he could likely relate to him. How can he relate to me? Inquired Naruto. Well, stated his father, the Aburame family uses bugs as their essential part of their jutsu. Plenty of the villagers find them creepy for that. You can probably relate to how you feel when it comes to being judged based on what is inside of you or him instead of how he actually feels like and who he really is. Thinking over his father's word, with a Naruto nodded before reaching his last classmate, Hinata. She seems nice enough, said their son as he leaned into the couch, but she's pretty weird. She always talks with a stutter, which isn't bad or anything, but I think she's always sick or something. Kushina raised a slender red brow at this. Why? Whenever I talk to her, she always turns red, and then she faints. I hope she's gotten better since graduation. She could be in danger if she was that sick on missions, said Naruto, showing concern for the girls. She was weird, yes, but he didn't really think that was a bad thing, and he wouldn't wish her harm just because he thought she was. He'd be no different from the villagers if he did such a thing. Unlike their son, Minato and Kushina could easily see what was going on and smiled. They weren't yet sure if Hinata's feelings for their child was anything more than a simple crush, but they were at least pleased to know that there may be someone in this generation and his generation who saw Naruto in such a way. For now, they would simply hope that he and the girl could become friends. If nothing else, they knew their son needed a better female friend in his life than Sakura at least. Following that night, Naruto was told that the two of them would now be training him personally for the next 2 months and that they'll be starting with his academics. Since they were still in no condition to be able to physically train him, Naruto grumbled at this, but after talking to his father about the usefulness of the tactics, history, and geography, and how he used them quite often to help him win battles, the younger of the two blondes eventually gave in, especially when he was told about how he could remember anything Akage Bunshin experienced. He was thankful for this, because once his mother introduced him to Funjutsu, he didn't want to read anything else. Why does this seem so easy? I mean, I always heard Funjutsu was really hard to figure out, so I never tried it, but I just get this. I don't understand. Kushina smiled at her son, having already figured he'd have a reaction like this. Kneeling next to him on the floor of their patio, looking over all the scrolls laid out in front of him, she replied, "Well, Naruto, that's simple. You see, the Uzumaki clan have a few special traits. We have an unrivaling longevity and we heal faster than others as well. Our chakra reserves are quite large too. Aside from that, some of us have the ability to develop our Kekkei, which, throughout the use of the Yin release, allow us to create chains from our chakra known as adamantium sealing chains. That's not our only Kekkei though. We have one more, but it's more of a passive thing, and since we never talked about it to anyone outside of those who could trust with our lives, no one knows about it. You see, our clan's second Kekkei is known as Mugen the Shokan. It's nothing too extravagant, but it's nothing to slouch at either. And Kushina, upon seeing Naruto's reaction to the name of their Kekkei, devastating Kekkei, said, "The Mugen Shokan allow us to have the most intimate understanding of the sealing arts on the planet. It's why the Uzumaki clan was feared for our seals. Fuinjutsu is simple to us. It comes naturally, like breathing, and this is all thanks to Mugen Shokan. No matter how complex the Fuinjutsu, it won't take you long to understand it, nor will it be hard for you to create advanced seals of your own." Naruto nodded, now having a better opinion of his clan more subtle Kekkei. A few weeks passed, and through the usage of Kagebunshin, Naruto was able to jump leaps and bounds in his academics, and as far as for Fuinjutsu was concerned, he was already conjuring up some seals that most Jonis couldn't comprehend. Now though, he could finally get to the parts of training he loved most, the physical aspect. His parents had recovered enough strength to start it, and he was beyond excited. "Now son," started Minato, "Kakashi told me he planned to enter your team into the Chunin exams." Naruto's eyes widened. "With that in mind, we got a little over a month to get you prepared while rebuilding you from scratch. You're going to learn Uzumaki Kenjutsu and Taijutsu. We'll be strengthening your body and improving your speed tenfolds. You'll also be learning how to use natural transformation as well as Yin release, so we can get you started on learning your better Kekkei. Not only that," added Kushina, "but I convinced Minato here to teach you the Harishin. Your understanding of Fuinjutsu should make learning it a piece of cake compared to anyone else. We'll be putting your tactical thinking to the test as well. Your shadow clones are about to get some major use, because without them, you won't be able to learn all of this in a month. Are you ready, son?" Their son merely nodded, who would make them proud. "Good, because during the final part of the Chunin exam, which I fully expect you to make into it, I'll have already become acting Hokage again. I'll be reinstated during the 1 month intermission between the second part of the exams and the third. During this time, we'll have explained what really happened on your birthday, and you will be revealed as my heir. The village needs to be set straight." Link break. "Naru, pay attention," yelled his mother as one of our rapid moving chains flew at him from above, chastising him from his own carelessness. He vanished in a blur of speed, dodging the chain that then slammed into the ground, splitting the earth and kicking up chunks of it. He shivered, not wanting to think of what might have happened had he been hit by that, as he appeared behind his mother as a chain of his own already sacking towards her. Out of his field of vision, Kushina smiled, proud of the progress her son was making. Link break. While Naruto was fighting his mother on the Namikaze Uzumaki clan grounds across the village, at the training ground 7, Kakashi, Kurenai, and Asuma had set their students up for some friendly sparring match to see how far they progressed. Everyone arrived, but Naruto and his absence didn't go unnoticed. "Where's Naruto?" asked Ino. Saying she cared may be a bit of a stretch, but she was curious and a gossip. She wants to know if he gotten in trouble or something. Naruto listened intently though. She'd been worried about him for the past month, and now she may finally get some answers on where her secret crush may be. As a select few Jonin, Guy, Kurenai, Asuma, and their clan heads of the major ninja clans had been befriended and briefed on the return of the Yondam, they already knew where Naruto was, but their students certainly didn't, and for now it would stay that way. Still, Kakashi had to tell something. He figured at this point some half-truths were in order. 2 members of Naruto's clan made their way here a month ago. They'd taken up his training until the Chunin exams, replied Kakashi. He already told his students they'd been nominated, and he assumed Kurenai and Asuma had informed their teams as well. "Naruto-kun has a clan?" stammered the eye-shy Hinata. "Were they powerful?" inquired Sasuke. "Yes, and yes," replied Kakashi. The Uzumaki clan were feared across the elemental nation for their mastery of Fuinjutsu. They weren't just a simple clan either, but the leading clan of the whole village. The village hidden by the whirling tides, Uzushio Gakure, was their home. Konoha had close ties with Uzushio, which is why we wear their clan symbol on our flak jackets, and the opponent pointing at the red swirl. It is in honor of them. Shikamaru frowned his brow, already having come to the conclusion that something had happened to the Uzumaki when Kakashi said they were feared. Were? Asked Kiba. What happened to them? The same thing that happened to the Uchiha clan, replied the Kopin, shocking the young Ganin. Especially certain vengeful Uchiha, they were wiped out. It happened during the period of world wars, fearing their might. Iwa, Kiri, and Kumo banded together to destroy the village, and they succeeded, but not without casualties. Though most Uzumakis died in the end, the survivors being scattered across the nations in their desperation to flee, they killed a little over half of the forces that attacked them. They've been outnumbered greatly, so you can understand how strong they had to be to defeat half of their attackers, I'm sure. Why didn't we learn about this in the academy? Asked Sakura. She read throughout all the materials thoroughly when she attended, and she never even seen the clan mentioned once. Kakashi glanced at the other Jonis, which didn't go unnoticed by their gun. Let's just say that the village became misguided. With two Uzumakis back in the village and Naruto undoubtedly becoming a clan here, I don't see the piece of information remaining buried for very long, replied Kakashi. Before the Genin could ask further, Kunai took charge and started their trading. Link break. Naruto ground as he fell into his seat at the dinner table, much like every day before. Today was a painful day as well. His training was going well, no doubt about that, but it left him extremely exhausted. By the end of the day, thankfully his reliance as an Uzumaki and the QB made him more than ready to go through the same experience the next day. Of course, that didn't mean he liked the bruises. Tired, Naruto? Asked Kushina, smirking as she put down a bowl of ramen in front of her son. Naruto was pleased when he found out he got his appetite for ramen from his mother and his father. The two of them gave the boy a run for his money, and he guessed he only beat them when it came to devouring the delicious food of gods, because he inherited both of their love for the noodle-tastic godness. Kushina would have gotten a reply out of her son if he hadn't been for a scream for Minato startling them. There was a silence as the two of them looked at each other, eyes wide, right upon until devilish smirk graced their features. Looks like he found out, smiled Kushina as she went back into the kitchen for another bowl. Her only reply was a tired grunt. Minato ran into the room, glaring at his wife and his son, who looked at him as if they were innocent. One of them was tired with a black eye, but meh, details. Little angels. You too, growled Minato. Yes, dear, chirped Kushina in question. Don't yes, dear me. My hair, Kushina. Why? I thought the two of you had already gotten even. He screamed, pointing to his head. What Minato was referring to was his now neon green hair that has streaks of bright orange and pink in it. Why was his hair like this, you may ask? The answer is simple. He's been pranked, and by his own family at that. As for why this prank had been carried out, the answer was so simple. Payback. It may have been true that Naruto didn't hold grudges, but he had to change the chance. But if he had the chance in front of him to get back at his father for stealing, and what some convincing from his mother, who was still a little miffed at her husband for doing it in the first place, Naruto decided to go through with his plans. Thus, their prank was born. 2 weeks ago, Naruto dyed Minato's hair purple, and Kushina used Funjutsu to make it permanent. Oh, and one more thing, his hair would change into a rainbow color every 2 weeks until 2 months of the training were up, at which point he gets his normal hair color back. Minato hadn't known about that last bit though. You look handsome, dear. Green suits you, replied Kushina, trying to hold back a fit of giggle. Naruto tried as well. After they managed to remain silent while Minato pouted, the three of them began dinner. Naruto looked to his parents and smiled. He could definitely get used to this. Yes, he definitely could. Time skip. Naruto looked himself in the mirror, admiring his new outfit. He'd lost the last of his much-loved orange jumpsuit a month ago at the hands of his mother and her chains. Since then, he'd been wearing nothing but t-shirts and pants to train, and when those were sliced up too, he went to training with shorts and no shirt. Now that the grueling training was finally over though, he received some new clothes from his mother. At first, he feared he'd lose his favorite color, but found that it did not vanish completely from his new wardrobe. Naruto wore an orange hoodie, right shirt, and over that was a black pullover that lacked a hoodie. On the back of the pullover was the Uzumaki clan symbol, which now represented the Nameklaze clan as well. The pullover was sleeveless, which was fine with Naruto, as his right arm was wrapped in orange chain up to his elbow. Covering his lower back and body were black shorts that cut off below his knees. On the sides of the shorts were orange lines from the waist down. Wrapping up his new wardrobe were black ninja sandals and his headband, which he now wore around his neck. Much like a certain Yuga, he knew. He thought to keep wearing it on his head, but no one could see it there if he had his hoodie up. He already didn't want to be mistaken for some non-Konoha shinobi. Hurry up, Naru, it's already an hour past. The time Kakashi wanted you all to meet. He'll probably be there soon, called Kushina from the living room. Hearing his mother's voice and words, the young ninja vanished from his room with a sunshine, which he gotten used to. Kakashi couldn't be catching up off guard with one ever again and appeared near the door. Don't worry, I won't be late. Bye, Mom. Naruto waved to her as he exited and she waved back, smiling. Once her son was out of the house, Kushina flopped onto the couch to relax a little bit before she had to go meet Minato at the Hokage Tower. Naruto sped through the streets of the village, moving so quickly that no one could even see a blur. It didn't take him long to reach Training Ground 7. As he saw his teammates in the distance, he slowed to a jog and approached. Hey guys, greeted Naruto with a large grin. Sasuke and Sakura looked up bit weird at the blonde teammate as if they ever seen him before. It probably didn't help that he was wearing his hood right now, despite the color of it, which should have been a giveaway. Realizing this, he pulled the hood down, still grinning. Naruto? Asked Sakura slowly. Is that really you? Our blonde teammate nodded before pulling his hood back up. Naruto liked his hood. It helped him get around the village without getting any glares. As long as he didn't look at anyone directly, no one saw his face, and he could walk around freely. What happened to your orange jumpsuit? This is an improvement by far, but I never knew or thought you'll willingly change your style. Scratching the back of his head as he gave an awkward chuckle, Naruto replied, I kinda didn't, but when all your clothes get shredded from training well, there's nothing much you can do about that. More importantly, how are you guys? Ready for the Chunin exams? Sakura, though nervous, nodded. Sasuke smirked. Of course we are. Kakashi's been training us into the ground. What about you, Tobe? A vein bulged on Naruto's head, and for a moment he contemplated hitting the Uchiha. Sasuke was for some reason the one person who could truly get under his skin. Yeah, Teme, I am. I got a whole new bag of tricks under my sleeve you could never dream of to achieving, replied Naruto. Replied the Uchiha, closing his eyes only to open them at last moment, his Sharingan now present, showing off 3 tomos in each eye. Is that so? While Kakashi had been working with Sasuke on his arrogance problem, and while the Uchiha was showing improvement even if that was going slowly, there was one person the Uchiha couldn't help but try to prove he was superior to, no matter what, and that person was Naruto. Though the Uchiha would never admit it, he supposed the blonde was whom he considered to be his greatest rival. Naruto, not backing down in the presence of a complete Sharingan, merely willed 3 orange chains to extend out of his left arm as if they were surfacing out of water. Knowing he had to attention of his team now, he replied, Yeah, it is. Naruto and Sasuke stared each other down as the wind ruffled the leaves of the tree they were all standing under, its shadow dancing against the swaying grass below. The two of them had only been around each other for less than 2 minutes, and they already wanted to test each other and see what the other had learned since they separated 2 months ago. I see that you two are already itching for a fight, came the voice of their sensei, drawing their attention. Kakashi walked up to the 3 genin, his little orange book in his hand as usual. How about the 2 of you don't though? Added the Kopinin. Save it for the exams. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other once more, and after a brief moment, Sasuke's eyes shifted back to normal and Naruto's chains receded back into his arm. What were those chains, Tobe? Inquired Sasuke, curious about the technique. He could already imagine how such a technique would be useful. If he were lucky, maybe he'd be able to copy it from the blonde. As if he knew exactly what was going on though, Sasuke mind. Naruto smirked. My clan's Genkai. Sasuke's eyebrow rose, the only thing showing his surprise while Sakura spoke up. You have a Genkai? What does it do? Well, Sakura, Naruto started. Already his sentence had caught the attention of all 3 members of his team. He's actually Just refer to the pink cat as Sakura and not Sakura-chan. Truthfully, Naruto's crush on her hadn't gone away. As it stood, he was still thinking about what his mother had told him about girls from the past 2 months. But the last time he referred to Sakura as Sakura-chan, Kushina had promptly hung him by their living room ceiling fan using her chains. The damn thing was sturdy too, so the fan never broke. And at the time, Naruto wasn't proficient enough with his own chains to break his mother's. He wasn't set free until the next morning. Naruto promised he would never call her Sakura-chan again. Minato-sensei, Kushina, what did you do to the boy? Wondered Kakashi. Makegenkai lets me form chains of chakra, known as adamantium sealing chains, through yin release. Theoretically, if you learned yin release, then you'd be able to form them too, but mine are special, as they are formed with a pre-programmed ability to assist in Fuinjutsu, and they're immune to some chakra natures. Furthermore, they are some modes of sorts. But you guys will just have to wait if you want to see those. Naruto grinned and Sakura just blinked back at him. What chakra natures are they immune to? Was Sasuke hoping that he'd be at least able to combat this teamer's chain with one of his two elements, fire, wind, and water? Sasuke smirked. That still left him with lightning, and now he was much more pleased with the fact Kakashi had trained him with lightning release. Well, I'd love to stand here and listen to the result of your training, said Kakashi. The exams will be starting soon. You three need to get going. His three students gave no compliments, and thus Kakashi led them away. Their walk through the village was brief, but they had filled with chatter. To be more precise, Sakura fell in with chatter. Naruto had listened, and for the first time ever, he found her to be getting on his nerves. He wasn't really annoyed like Sasuke was or anything, but he found her chatting to be aggravating. He assumed he never noticed it before because while she talked to Sasuke, he'd be trying to talk to her. When he thought about it like that, he could understand why he never found her words irritating. Even if all she talked about was how annoying Ino was and how she and Sasuke should be going on a date soon anytime. Glancing at Sasuke, he saw that the Uchiha was blocking her out of so skillfully it was scary. Bravely, the blonde wondered if Sasuke knew a jutsu for that. Sakura, called Naruto, hoping to change the subject. He wouldn't mind hearing her talk as long as it was something else. What? Sakura growled on him with her fist raised. Naruto took in her posture, noting that it screamed hostile, and his mind wandered back to some things his mother had told him. Link break. Naruto and his mother were talking about things and taking a break from their taijutsu training. The two of them were in the kitchen and Kushina had just prepared some cold lemonade and to refresh them up a bit before they had to head back out. Naruto was taking sips of his, savoring the taste. He never had homemade lemonade before and he already added it to his rapidly growing list of things he absolutely loved from his mother. Aside from how affectionate and patient Kushina was with him, her skills in the kitchen were amazing, and according to his father, Naruto didn't just think that simply because no one had ever really cooked for him before. Minato insisted Teruichi didn't count as that was his job. Kushina was in fact a cooking goddess. That is great, Mom, complimented Naruto, a large grin on his face. Kushina returned the grin with a warm smile as she sat across him. Thanks, Naru. The two of them sat in silence for a little bit longer before Kushina spoke up. So, Naru, this time we had another little talk. Naruto gulped, remembering that the last time she used the word little talk, he'd somehow ended up hanging from the ceiling fans from the last night. Yes? You told me how this Haruno girl always hit you, right? What do you do to make her do that, I mean? Naruto face scrunched up as he thought back to the incident in question. He could remember a lot of things, but even if he didn't want to, well, he started, looking away from his mother. Aside from occasionally Orike no Jutsu, which I wouldn't do anymore, he blurted out, noticing the glare of his mother had leveled at him. He told her about creating that, and she immediately smacked him upside the head and then told him he would be getting no ramen for a week. Needless to say, Naruto had been devastated. She usually hit him when I tried asking her out, or sometimes when I tried talking to her while she was trying to get a date out of Sasuke. He finished. Kushina immediately frowned at this. In her mind, she already come to the decision to have words with Sakura now. Now, she was deciding how many times they would need to have these words. Kushina didn't actually plan to hurt the girl. She wasn't trying to beat on a child, no matter how much they pissed her off. They didn't mean she just let the girl get away with what she's been doing to her son, though. Maybe thought Kushina a little genjutsu in order, just enough to get the message across. Don't let her do that to you anymore. Aside from when you used that jutsu of yours, she had no right to put her hands on you. Most girls don't hit people for asking them out, especially not for just talking to them. As long as you hadn't been physical with her when you do those things, she's in the wrong. If she ever does it again, you make her regret it. Naruto simply nodded, not quite sure what to say. Link break. Naruto didn't really want to hurt his teammate, especially not before the exams. He wasn't sure they'd be physical, but considering all the training recently, he figured they must likely were. With that in mind, he opted to just let her be, lest her breaks her wrist or something on an accident. Never mind, Sakura. He looked ahead of him now, intent to ignoring the rest of her, ran to Sasuke. His parents had told him Kakashi intended to try straighten out Sasuke and Sakura, but he didn't think they'd change after only a month or two. He could already see that the seeds had been planted into the two of them. 2 months ago, Sasuke wouldn't have asked him if he was ready for the exams. He would have stayed quiet and put him down later when he made a mistake. Likewise, Sakura wouldn't have outright hit him if he interrupted her talks with Sasuke 2 months ago, and she certainly wouldn't have been as interested in his Kakagenka as she had been earlier. Naruto knew he still had some personality flaws to clean up himself, so if he wasn't completely changed man, why should he expect them to have magically changed? It wouldn't take more time than this. He knew that now, and he was okay with it. Maybe I can even help them change. We're here, said Kakashi, snapping Naruto out of his thoughts. The blonde focused his eyes ahead to see the academy. Heads up onto the third floor, room 301. That's where the exams begins. You're not coming with us? Asked Sakura. Of course not, replied the companion. From this point, I'm not allowed to help you. You're on your own. With that, Kakashi vanished in a sunshine. Well, let's head inside, guys. The tuning exams awaits. Exclaimed Naruto before heading inside, his teammates following him behind him. They walked up to the second floor as a peaceful one, but that all changed once they actually got there. Chunins hopefully flooded the halls, all of them trying to get into a room blocking off by two ninjas. Let us through, yelled one of the Genins irritated. Yeah, we have to take the Chunin exam. Sasuke raised an eyebrow at this, wondering if what he was saying right now was so serious. Sakura looked up to the room being guarded by the ninja and frowned. The room number read 201. Isn't that a genjutsu? Interjected Naruto, cutting the pinkette off and causing his teammates to look at him oddly. He knew why. He'd never been able to properly recognize a genjutsu before. The young Namikaze still couldn't cast one, but his parents made him sure he could identify and dispel them before the 2 months were up. Sasuke, being the first one out of the snaps of his confusion over Naruto spotting a genjutsu, gave his usual reply of before saying that they should go up to make it spell. They probably had a bad idea, Teme. Sasuke turned to his blonde and glared. Why would you do what would you know, though? I know that we don't need more competition, especially if there's not good enough to notice this genjutsu. If there are let through, all we're doing is adding participants and maybe even getting them hurt. What's the point in that? 2 months ago, he would have been called a hypocrite, but in his defense, he had way more chakra than any of those Genins had, so it wasn't exactly his fault. His skills with genjutsu were atrocious back then. Sasuke and Naruto stared each other down for a pregnant moment before the Uchiha uncharacteristically backed down. What then, Dobe? Asked Sasuke, turning to face his team. Naruto shrugged. I guess we just bypass this all together and go to the third floor. That honestly doesn't sound like a bad idea, said Sakura, not really wanting to comfort the ninja guarding the door. If they succeed, Naruto would be right. There would be more competition. On the other hand, if they fail, they may not even get to enter the exams. It's like the exam has started before it even really begun, thought the Pinkan with a frown. Fine, replied Sasuke to Naruto after a moment. Let's go then. Slipping past their would-be competition, the three of them went up onto the third floor, and after finding the correct room, stepped inside. Naruto gave an impressed whistle as he looked around at all the ninja gathered. There were teams from every village except Eva. Sasuke-kun. Naruto could have sworn he heard Sasuke sigh just before Ino tried to embrace the boy. The platinum blonde would have succeeded too if Sakura hadn't blocked her way. The two of them immediately got into the argument, though Naruto noted neither was using the teasing nicknames they had for each other. He wondered what brought that about. So, you guys made it to the troublesome thing, huh? Asked Shikamaru. So, he walked up to Sasuke and Naruto. He greeted Naruto and Sasuke both with a nod, and Naruto was happy at least someone could still recognize him. Maybe this is how Shino feels, wondered Naruto, as he glanced at Shino and Kiba and Hinata making their way over there. Yeah. The little commotion downstairs was nothing, smiled Naruto. Yo, Naruto, called Kiba, the old blonde, looking over at him and grinned. If I couldn't tell people sense apart, I wouldn't have recognized you. What's with the new set of clothes? By now, Ino and Sakura had stopped their bickering, and the blonde among the two was listening in as well. She had never known that Naruto was here when he walked in, so she just had to know what made him change his god-awful style. Even Hinata, who loved everything about her blonde crush, was happy that he was no longer wearing that kill me now orange jumpsuit. Not that she practically disliked her or anything, but she knew it stood out far too much for their line of work and she didn't want him to get hurt. Well, it got shredded during trainings, all of them, so I didn't have any of my shirts and pants too. Had nothing to but shorts. Left until just recently, replied Naruto, scratching his cheek, while Hinata tried not to faint from the mental image of shirtless Naruto. She just conjured up. The others wondered what he'd gone through to totally annihilate his favorite clothes, and then they wondered how they had to thank for the deed. We've all been training harder, too, replied Kiba with an almost feral grin. Don't think you've gotten ahead of us, Naruto. By the time these exams are over, teammate will have won the whole thing. He boasted Naruto smart. We'll see about that. I wouldn't get your hopes up, though. No one's beating me or Team 7, Tebayo. Hey, you guys should keep it down. Naruto and the other rookie nuns turned their attention to a silver-haired Konoha again. You're drawing a lot of attention, you know. You probably don't want to do that. Some of these guys are dangerous, although I suppose I can understand. I was a rookie myself at one point. Glancing around the room, the rookie nine noted that they were certainly getting a decent dose of killer intent for gaining for all the teammates around them. You've taken this test before then, I assume, inquired Shino. Yeah, replied the silver-haired Genin. He was looking at the ground now, sounding rather embarrassed. My 7th time, actually. These exams are held twice a year, you see. Oh, my name is Kabuto, by the way. They're that hard? Asked Ino, sounding a little more worried now. Troublesome. Yeah, they're pretty tough. Kabuto replied. I could help you guys out, but if you want though, no offense, said Kiba. But how are you going to help us? You failed it 7 times. None taken, replied Kabuto as he pushed up his glasses and whipped out a deck of cards. I can help because of these. I pride myself on my information gathering. I got info on just about everyone in the exams. Alright, here. On these cards, anyone you want to know about? No, he said. They mentioned Sabako Nagara, said Naruto. His teammates sent him funny looks, having no idea who he was talking about. At the same time, his eyes found the psychotic redhead he just mentioned. Gara looked at him indifferently, though on the inside his thoughts were filled in different ways. He could please his mother with the blonde's blood. Who? The Tsunageni I met yesterday. I left my house to go see the Hokage so he could discuss something that day and I ran into him and his team. They're strong, and Gara is off. Truthfully, he'd been running around the village to see if anyone below Jonin could even catch a glimpse of him. Now that he's gotten so much faster, he ended up meeting Gara when his brother Kankuro was about to roughen up Konohamaru. He recalled something about the boy just feeling wrong, but he couldn't place what it was right away. Not until he felt the worst pain in his stomach he'd ever experienced. He knew it couldn't have been anything aside from the ceiling acting up, or to be more specific, he was inside of it. He thought the QB would stir so violently for anything short of its kind. Gara was such a Cherokee. Knowing their name already, huh? That makes it easy. Let's see here. Sabako Nagara. His teammates are his sibling, Kankuro and Temari. 12 C ranks, 5 B ranks, and wow, an A rank mission. Says here that he returned from every mission he's ever been unscratched. The rookie were speechless, most of them making a conscious decision not to mess with the 3 Suna shinobi. As for Naruto, he frowned at this. Gara would certainly be a hard enemy to face. What about Rock Lee, Yuga Neji, and Konoha? Asked Sasuke. This time it was Naruto's turn to send the boy a look. Who are they? Sasuke gave him a quick explanation of how he'd been challenged by Lee about a week ago, and the two of them had ended up the match in a draw. Though he had held back, and he could tell Lee had too. He hadn't fought Neji, but told Naruto that he was supposed to be even stronger than Lee. Naruto for his part hadn't seen and been around Sasuke in so long that he couldn't properly gauge whether or not Lee and Neji was any threat to him. Here they are, Rock Lee and Neji Yuga of Konoha. The two of them are on the same team and their teammates is Tenten. They both seem to have a proficient in taijutsu style and they are last year's dead last and rookie of the year, respectively. They shouldn't have you taking them lightly, though. They completed 20 D ranks and 18 C ranks as well as 1 B rank. Trying to gain information on us, are you, Uchiha? The members of the Rookie 9 turned to see a stone-faced Neji and his team. Ah, the beautiful Sakura-san. I presume you're having a most beautiful and beautiful day. Naruto raised a brow at Lee's antics as Sakura seemed to be backing away from him. Yes, Lee, I guess I am. Well, said Kabuto, drawing the attention back at him. There are plenty of strong teams here from various villages this year, so watch out. There's this team from the new village Otokakure, but as they only recently been found, I don't say you have to worry about them. Reacting to Kabuto's words, the three Oto shinobi leapt out of the crowd, moving on to him. One of them, who seemed reminiscent of a mummy, made the first move to attack, or at least that was the plan. He stopped cold in his tracks, suddenly choking as an orange chain tightened around his neck. Naruto was training directly behind him. Bad move. Don't take things so seriously. Tosu shouted one of the other Oto shinobi as he made to raise his hand. I wouldn't do that either, said Sasuke as his kunai gently poked against the Otonin's back. Kabuto watched on, impressed. Sasuke was fast, faster than the last time he checked upon the boy, as per order by his master. He'll make a fine vessel for Orochimaru-sama, but the other one, thought Kabuto, trailing off his eyes drifting over to Naruto. He frowned. He's faster than Sasuke. I almost didn't see him move, and those chains, they're not the ones wrapped around his arm. Where did he get them? Make one move. I'll disqualify all of you maggots. Called a new voice from the doors as it slammed open. Naruto and Sasuke immediately let the two Otonins free and returned to their teammates. The two of them stared each other down, much like they had earlier in the morning. Once again, they wanted to see just how far the other had come. Morino Ibiki, your proctor for this exam, barked the Warmorn and Torn man near the door. Now get off your lazy asses and follow me outside. The Chunin exams begin now, maggots. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And this is Apollo Uchiha, and I'm signing out.